our mission statement says we support, these kids in treatment from the get-go, but we also wrap our arms around them throughout life, whether they have a relapse. But we also support the staff who care for them.
That was Denise Moss, who is the Patient Services Manager at the Childhood Cancer Coalition in Spokane. My colleague Terri shared a wonderful conversation with both Denise and Leslie Woodfill, who is the Coalition's Executive Director. They shared so much about the great work they're doing to help children and families who are faced with a cancer diagnosis, with this information being especially timely for Childhood Cancer Awareness Month this September. The Childhood Cancer Coalition provides holistic community support, including financial assistance, support groups, and grief support. Keep listening to learn even more about how they support families and the impact they've had over the years.
I'm here with Leslie Woodfill, Executive Director, and Denise Moss, Patient Services Manager from Childhood Cancer Coalition. We're thrilled to have you on our Encompassing Cancer podcast and can't wait to learn all about your organization and what you do.
We're excited to be here, that's for sure. Anytime that we can share our mission and what we do with the community and how it benefits our kids and families, we're thrilled to have this opportunity. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for having us, Terri. It's something that we're both very passionate about, and our whole team is. It's just when people ask what I do, I just get to tell them that you've lived this life, you know this story, you know what people are going through, and you just want to wrap your arms around them.
That's lovely. I love that. That's a great introduction to what you guys do. So tell me more. Tell me about your mission and your history and how you guys got going here in Spokane.
Well, we started in the 70s, actually, and at that time we were called Candlelighters. And it was a group of parents whose children who have had cancer and wanted to come together and support other families as they were given that diagnosis that your child has cancer. And we've sort of just morphed and grown. And now we had been known as American Childhood Cancer Organization Inland Northwest. And we rebranded last year to the Childhood Cancer Coalition. And when we rebranded, we thought it's super important that we keep the concept of childhood cancer so people understand how to reach us and what we do. But then we brought in the word coalition, and that being working with the community and gathering resources. Nobody can be just one. You have to work with other people in the community to make these things happen for these families, whether it's your donors, whether it's supporters who come in as volunteers. You know, there's just a lot of different ways that people support our organization. So Childhood Cancer Coalition. And we serve kids from Eastern Washington, Northern Idaho, and Western Montana. And the reason we have that demographic is that the kids from those areas are being served at Sacred Heart Hospital for their cancer treatments. If they're outside that area, Western Washington, they're going to Seattle. Oregon, they're going to Portland. And then Eastern Montana is either Salt Lake City or Denver, as well as Southern Idaho kids. So what's really important is that all money that is raised for our organization here stays here to serve those kids. And right now we're serving about 160 kids.
Yes, it fluxes from time to time. In fact, this past couple of weeks we have 5 new kids, which is sometimes we just get a big number like that, and we add them to the list, and we support everybody equally.
Yeah, and what's important also to know is that we're providing emotional support with support groups that Denise does, and she can talk to you about those. Financial support, every family can send us, a rent or a car payment or insurance or those things that come up where you're like, I can't even afford food today, and I need help. and we're able to provide financial support, energy assistance, just really trying to bring these families back to some sort of calm, normalcy, and then providing some fun events as well.
I also wanted to say that our mission statement says we support, these kids in treatment from the get-go, but we also wrap our arms around them throughout life, whether they have a relapse, which we've had a fair number of this past year, unfortunately. But we also support the staff who care for them. And this staff here at Sacred Heart is unbelievably dedicated to these kids and their families. So any way we can support them to help them through the day, because there's just such a large number of families going through treatment these days. We offer a snack basket, get coffee for them, whatever they need. And we also have a nurse's lunch just for them once a month, because a lot of times they don't have even time to eat lunch. So
Wow, that's fantastic that you've extended that support to the staff as well. I mean, when you're talking about community and organize and no one can do it themselves, I mean, that really highlights that philosophy. So tell me more about how you got involved with Childhood Cancer Coalition.
yeah, so I got to be the beneficiary of candlelighters back in 1990 when my 3.5-year-old daughter was diagnosed with rhabdomyosarcoma, which was a very aggressive tumor that grew out of her bladder. And we were given a 15% chance of survival. And I remember when a candlelighters person came in to our door at the hospital through the door, and she said, "I've done this, I've been down this road, and we're going to be here for you." And I feel like that's the most important component of this whole organization, is that connection, is that hope, is, being there to validate these people's feelings and emotions, because we've been down this road. And I always refer back to the quote that says, "To know the road ahead, ask those coming back." Um, and we try to do it with such deep understanding, compassion, and love. And so many times, mamas or dads just need a hug because they're so overwhelmed. And I've just been super blessed to be part of this organization for almost 12 years in the hospital with these families, being able to support whatever they need.
I remember when I first met you, Leslie, you said, all of these children are my children. And
Yeah.
that really stuck with me. And I think, that comes through with the organization. When I talk with you, when I talk to Denise, I'm hearing that and feeling that. So as far as the support that you offer, how did you decide what support? Was it based on what you needed as you went through it, or is it based on what the families are telling you? Because there's a lot of different ways you can provide support.
Well, it was absolutely a community effort. And what I love about our organization and what Leslie does, just watch and see what these families need. And we, as observers and people who have been through that, can add our 2 cents about, the ways that we can be better and support people better. Um, Meeting the needs. Like, we went through COVID with these families, and we were still here. We were still at the hospital. We were still bringing them all the things that they needed. Granted, it was a lot less connection, but we did the best we could, and that's when we started our Zoom support groups.
That's wonderful. Like you said, their whole lives are consumed by this diagnosis, and people actually doing very useful, pragmatic things is wonderful. Now, you mentioned the Zoom support groups. Leslie, can you and or Denise talk about those? What groups you're running currently, and who's eligible to join those?
Yeah, so we have a once a month parent support group that we do Zoom, and have been that's when we started all these groups, was at the beginning of COVID. And we have just recently started to meet together. So our parent support groups this summer have been in the healing gardens across from the hospital. So we provide some sandwiches and some, deep connection, and have a counselor who's also an onc stepmom, one of our kiddos' stepmom, and she offers a lot of healing advice and stress relief and things like that. So we're blessed to have her. We also have a teen group that's very strong, and they just love getting together with each other, whether it's via Zoom or we've had some in-person events for that we just like to get out and do some fun, have some fun things. Uh, then we have a sibling group once a month that we do via Zoom and sometimes in person, because siblings are left out, through no fault of any parent or any family. It's just the way it is. You don't have enough in you to stretch like that to support your kiddo and their emotional needs. So we try to just have fun and get to know them and listen to their hearts. And then we also have a grief group called Healing Hearts once a month. And that group is for our parents who have lost kids to cancer. And we have an amazing gal who has lost 2 kids to cancer and is still standing. And I admire her so much. And she has come along to partner with me on that. And we have, not only do we have those groups, but we also have a Healing Hearts retreat once a year, where we have a weekend for these families to get together and just let down and tell their story and be pampered and, given the strength with that connection to keep going and keep standing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. How are you evolving, Leslie, as an organization?
Well, Denise sort of touched on it in how we've uh, decided kind of what services we offer. And it's really watching our families and listening to them. Like, we've got families who start here, but they go to Seattle, for treatment. Well, they're still our families,
Okay.
and they still need support. And so we've come up with like a care package of the things that the children's doesn't provide them. And that's as simple as, a portable laundry basket and soap and, things like that. The parents over there don't have the opportunity to use the food from the cafeteria while their child is uh, having food delivered to their room. They have to pay for that food. So we're helping by providing cafeteria cards for those families, and even cafeteria cards for here. Again, it's just listening to the families. What do they need? So it just keeps evolving in the things that the families need. Keeping in mind, can we provide those things for all of our families once we start providing for families? So we're real intentional about that too, and what services we can continue to provide. One thing we did just do is we set up an endowment. And I'm really excited about that, because it really shows our commitment to our community and being here until kids no longer have cancer. And so we're hoping that endowment is going to fund, and it's going to fund our program expenses and move us forward. So that's another way that I think we're evolving. We also brought on Lindsay to be there, because we heard the weekends and holidays are hard. They're lonesome and stuff. Denise works Monday through Fridays. And so Lindsay came on for weekends and holidays, and the families have just said it's made such a difference that her energy and spirit have brought, just a revitalization for them on those days. And then, of course, with Denise there, you can't see it, but she's got a halo over there.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you say we need help, is it hard for some families to say that?
Absolutely. In fact, we have a new patient binder. It's a big notebook really that we put together, and And part of that is learning to accept help and learning to ask for help. And I always tell families, don't do like I did because I thought, wow, we're strong, we're good, we're okay. No, you're not okay. And people are dying to help you. So, just make a list of what they can do at your house, mow your lawn, feed your dog, take care of your kids, whatever, because it does help everybody and you need the help. So part of what we do is teach about that, just start with us. What can I do for you? And then just keep practicing it.
I like that you say just keep practicing it. Because I think it is, for some reason, our society can be very like, oh, I got this, like that's some type of badge. Whereas, as you know very well, asking for help and receiving it, and then also enabling the people who care to feel like they're doing something to actually show that win-win in both arenas.
Right. Yeah. And a lot
I
of
think
times people don't even know what they need until you sit down with them. And it usually takes a few weeks just for them to be able to start processing this whole journey and think about what they need. Is they're just trying to grasp that, my child is in danger of dying. So that's where we can come along and say, let's make a list, who do you feel comfortable with? Who do you not feel comfortable with? Because some people are more of a drain than a help. So we can just talk about that and help them, make these lists and move forward.
Yeah, that's important stuff.
I think one of example that I've experienced of families asking for help is um in our adopt family that we do, where we adopt different families who need support during the holidays. Um, and we try to make sure everybody has a gift, and we provide grocery cards and gas cards if that's what we've got. And this one just really touches me because the mom came in to pick up the toys, and we had a couple of grocery cards that had been donated for her. And I gave them to her and I said, here, these grocery cards are for you. And she said, oh no, I'm sure somebody else needs them more than we do. And I was just like, that just says to me she needs help. So I went back to my office and got a few more grocery cards that we'd had and gave them to her. And I said, actually, I forgot, these are yours too. I'm sorry. And she collapsed on the floor and said, just in tears, sobbing, saying, I didn't know how I was going to feed my family today. We don't have any food in our house. And it's just like, oh, you just asked Denise, she would have given them to you, And uh and she left there with her heart lifted, knowing she's feeding her kids, tonight and a little bit with the grocery cards. And then it's great because we are able to say to like Denise and Lindsay, you know, this family maybe needs some help but doesn't want to ask for it. This is what I learned, or also social workers at the hospital are great to kind of clue us in, like you might want to talk to them one more time, kind of a thing. So
Hearing how you guys handle things, hearing how responsive you are to the patients, how your journey is really guided by the patients' journeys. It's just so needed, and so I'm sure the entire community is so thankful. And one of the reasons we wanted to have you on the podcast is we want to know more about what you're doing, and we want to share what you're doing, which kind of leads me into my next question, which is how can the community support you?
We give out a lot of Thomas Hammer coffee cards because they are in the hospital, and it's really convenient for us to either give them the card or go, take orders and go around and get coffee for people. Um, Cafeteria cards, we give away a lot of those because since there's so many cancer kids and families in the clinic every day, the waits are super long. And, we have snacks, and a lot of times our chips, especially, are like uh, the biggest thing for these kids because they crave salt when they're on chemotherapy.
Okay.
But, parents need to eat too. And sometimes you can get a kid to eat, a piece of pizza in the cafeteria, and everything's expensive. So we just try to give those away because they're there for hours and hours and hours.
Okay.
We had a survivor family whose dad works at a massage place, and they gave us a bunch of massage cards for the moms and dads. That was beautiful. We're still using those. And, so many of these kids, after they're done with their clinic day, the mom or dad will say, well, you want to go to this restaurant or that restaurant because they need something to look forward to. So, we can always use gift cards from restaurants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are these items on your website?
They're on our wish list,
Your wish list?
on the Amazon wish list. And let me just verify about the website. Um, that's a that's good ad. Um,
I want to make sure that our listeners, if they want more information or if they're hearing this and they want to donate something, they know where to go to get that information and how to donate it.
well, and also, if they don't want to deal with like Amazon or things like that, they can just go to our website and we have a tab that says donate, and then they can put on there, they can have a donor designated option like
Yeah.
snacks, or whatever. Buy grocery cards or, and we will allocate that appropriately.
Yeah, kind of going back to our theme for when you're asking for help and support, being very specific about it and where people's hearts lead them, food or
Right,
rent, gift cards, however and whatever.
right. We've got our gala coming up on
Mm,
September the 28th. And there is a link on the website that people can
okay.
sign up for that. Um, and we would really just love to pack that room. So, and the funds from that again are going to go to program and help fund the program and make a difference for those kids every single day and their families. Paying for those financial things that they need support with, or those gift cards or whatever we're doing. So if people can sign up to go to the gala, we would be grateful. If people want to donate a silent auction item or a live auction item, those are opportunities. I always like to think of them as opportunities rather than challenges.
Okay, yes, you know what? I agree. Let's call them opportunities.
Yeah. So opportunities that people have are, so those are some of the things as well. Like I said, I'd love to see that room just packed full of people who are saying, I want to make a difference in the life of a child who has cancer, a life of a child who has cancer right here in my community.
Right here in my community. Tell me more about the gala. You told me the date. Where is it at? Is there a name? And what is happening at the gala?
It's Light the Way Gala. It's our 20th annual gala,
Hey,
and
wow,
it
congratulations.
we're pretty excited about that. While we haven't had galas since the time that we started 20 years ago, we started having galas, and this is it. It's going to be at the Spokane Convention Center, and I point because it's right out my window. And we will have presentations of kids who are in treatment for cancer, kids who have gone through their cancer battle that they've gone through. Last year we had a great, just inspirational young lady speak, and this year we're going to have another one who battled cancer, was in remission, and now been re-diagnosed with cancer and is now in remission again. So that's going to be an inspirational. And then we have an opportunity for a child to ring the bell. And that concept of ringing the bell is, I am done with cancer, and I want to share with the world. I'm going to ring this bell and exclaim, I'm cancer free. One of the things that we're adding this year as well is an honor for the child who did not survive their cancer diagnosis, and we're going to have a honor video for those children as well. So I think it's going to be really inspirational. We have our silent auction and live auction as part of it as well.
Well, thank you for sharing all those details. And it is so important for nonprofits, for listeners who are not really familiar with how nonprofits work. These events are really one of the lifebloods to keep nonprofits rolling and keep those support services rolling to the families. Thank you so much for everything that you do, both of you and your whole team. And for taking the time to share all of this in detail so people know, because unless you're going through it, you don't know. And
It's true.
you guys are doing something so needed and so, like you said, heart's work. It's heart's work.
Thank you, Terri, for
And
this opportunity. Gosh, it's just, it's an honor to come every day. And we're extremely blessed to have Leslie and the leadership that she provides to keep this ship going and moving forward and making great strides so that we can do better every day.
it's truly an honor to be here and serve these kids and families. It's a it's a piece of your heart. Every day you go in and you say, I get to make a difference, and that's my goal. I get to make a difference with these kids and families.
We're thankful to have you. The families are thankful to have you. And again, it's been such a pleasure to hear everything you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it. And I mean, your own, of all the interviews I've done, just the heart work, it really comes through. So I appreciate you just bringing your whole true authentic self to this interview, and it's been lovely.
Thank you,
Thank you
Terri.
for having us and letting us share about our organization. We appreciate it.
If you or a family member lives in the Inland Northwest and is looking for additional support, be sure to share this episode with them. You can learn more about the Childhood Cancer Coalition at www.cccnw.org. I want to take a quick moment to just thank you so much for tuning into the show and supporting the podcast over the past 2.5 years. It's really meant so much. I'm Lauren Ryan. Please stay healthy and well.